Welcome to Overtime and Inferno, your weekly roundup of all the biggest stories in CSGO. Quicker than the Brazilians get to go watch the major from the crowd. You can please remember to rate and review us before the end of the episode. My name is Logan. This is Aizyesque. This is the first show of the major. We are recording this at just before 12 Eastern Standard Time, which means, for those of you playing along at home, the Vitality OG game, not yet over.
Vitality. Oh, sorry, it had to be done.
Gamer Legion Cloud9 will be later today, and Fnatic 9Z will be after that. So we don't have exactly who's in the next stage, but we're damn.
We can make an educated guess.
Yeah,
the Gamer Legion are going to be Cloud9.
Let's I think let's start with so you're writing the newsletter this week, as you always do, and you formatted the newsletter in a very specific way.
I did.
I'm going to steal that format for today. So it's the 0-3, 1-3 teams, then the 3-0, 3-1 teams, and then we'll talk about the 2-2 games that are going on now, and we'll have our best predictions, and then we'll talk about what's going to happen next.
Yes.
Okay. Let's talk about the 0-3 teams.
Let's do it. That was depressing, wasn't it?
Yeah. Just a little bit. I'm like speed pulling up the
Yeah, so for those of you who aren't aware, you've been living under a rock or you've got like a real job or something, Imperial and 00 Nation were your 0-3 teams, which Brazilian Major, before I guess if including the coach, the greatest Brazilian quintet of all time, and they all didn't win a map. 00 Nation won a map.
Yeah,
they won one map
between
them.
Yeah.
They beat IHC on one map and then lost the series. Yeah, that was mightily depressing. Especially as I know for a fact Cold Zero was playing 12 plus hours of Counter-Strike a day to be in top shape for the Rio Major. And he just wasn't. He just wasn't very good. Every team he's on has the same issues on their T side. Every team he's joined since leaving, I guess MIBR, has gotten worse when he joined. I don't think he's going to carry on playing this much a day when there's no Rio Major to grind for. All the talk is about Fallen retiring, but I think it might be Cold Zero who retires. There's just no point in him as a player anymore.
Yeah. Before we keep talking about the 0-3 teams, I actually want to put a little quick congratulations in, and a big fuck you to everyone's Pick-ems, because Greyhound and IHC, who, if I ran a poll yesterday and said, who'd you put as your 0-3 team? I'd guarantee some 80% of people put either Greyhound or IHC. And then
I believe 60% of people had Greyhound as 0-3. I believe that's a number that's been going around.
And then IHC would have been a chunk over that. And anyone else who put any other team 0-3 was capping.
I put big 0-3.
That's a based take.
Yeah, it's a very based take. I mean, it's complete nonsense. To be fair, it is the reason I'm probably not going to get 5 points in this show. But
I put Imperial 3-0, so I had a lot of faith in the plot. Plot armor. And here's the thing: 0-3 and 3-0 don't matter for your Pick-ems because it's an absolute crapshoot.
Yeah. See, I put Imperial and 00 Nation going through, so I am screwed.
Yeah, no, you're fucked.
If I get 5 points despite this, I am the best person. I'm just a genius. If I put Imperial and 00 Nation to go through, they both go 0-3, and I still get 5 points. I'm just a god.
So we got to talk for a second about the teams that are actually 0-3. I want to talk about Imperial's run to get to 0-3 and the teams that they lost to. So they lost to Vitality in the opening round, which if you were slightly living under a rock, you'd go, okay, that seems okay.
Normal. Yeah, normal and okay.
And then they lost to 9Z, which is a little odd.
9Z beat some good teams in the North American RMR. Oh, sorry, the Americas RMR. It's not a great result by any stretch, but it's not out of the realms of possibility.
It's a game where they should have been competitive in. right?
Yeah.
That's a roughly like I'd say roughly equal skill level game for Imperial. Maybe a little bit underdog, but like Brazilian crowd, so like 50-50 shot.
Yeah.
They lost that 16-11.
Yeah. Not great.
And then
Best of ones though.
they
And
went
then,
to
then they got shafted because somehow Cloud9 were also 0-2 and they had to play Cloud9 in an 0-2 game. You're like, well, unlucky, I guess. Maybe next Rio Major.
yeah, they just got absolutely shafted by Cloud9 doing their best Boston impression.
Yeah, they
Like
got shafted by the fact Cloud9 legitimately lost to Greyhound in a best of one.
yeah, well, so they lost to so Cloud9 lost to both Greyhound and Fnatic, both 17-19.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, this is not great, but also like it's 17-19 in the BO1. You know, the Greyhound one had a bit of a crash in it as well.
Yeah.
It happens. It's
We'll,
not
we'll,
great,
we'll talk
but
about tech issues in a minute because I want to talk about this for a minute. Zero Zero Nation to get here. I'm pretty sure I'm reading this graphic right. Uh, yeah, that's a 16-3 loss in the
yeah,
first round to Bad
yeah.
News Eagles.
They got battered. They got absolutely rimmed by Bad News Eagles.
Remember last week when we did the pre-major show? I said Bad News Eagles is going to be great here, and you said what the fuck? And I said because they show up for the major and they absolutely fucking slap everyone,
Yeah.
and then they go home and disappear until the next major. Case
Yeah.
in point.
Yeah, I would like to use this stage to give a formal apology to Bad News Eagles. You know that Shaquille O'Neal quote where he's like, I would like to apologize. I was not, what is it? I was not aware of your game or something. It's something like that. I was like, I'm sorry, Bad News Eagles. I was not au fait with your game. You guys are legit. I
I
fucking
just
love it.
I just like to say how awesome Bad News Eagles are because I have a friend that doesn't follow Counter Strike at all. He plays
Mhm.
Valorant. He plays
What,
League.
you have friends who don't
I
like Counter Strike?
I know.
Disgusting.
He plays Valorant a little bit. He watches some Pro League with me. He was sending me like Bad News Eagles posts. He's from Kosovo. He was sending me
Oh,
Bad
I
News Eagles
see.
posts because of how awesome it is for people from Kosovo that like the prime minister went and like chatted with them and stuff, and now
Yeah.
they're playing in this major and they did well in the like I'm getting stuff from a friend who is from Kosovo about this team, which is not something that if I had a British friend or something, they wouldn't
No.
send me shit about like
Mezzy.
Endpoint or Messi or
Yeah.
or like
Um, I'll say, I don't know if you saw, there's a Twitter account called Out of Context Albanians, which is nothing to do with Counter Strike, and they just posted like the video of Bad News Eagles singing during the interview, um, like after they qualified, and it's just like, yeah, they've really taken to them. I think they have a lot of national pride, the Bad News Eagles.
which I love. I fucking
Yeah, I love it.
that's the kind of shit that you see with like Imperial and Zero Zero Nation. That like yeah, it's like these are Brazil's teams. It's like if you go anywhere in the world, it's like that's Brazil,
Yeah.
and just like
I found the Shaquille O'Neal quote, by the way. It's, I owe you an apology. I wasn't really familiar with your game. That's me to Bad News Eagles. I owe Bad News Eagles an apology. I wasn't really familiar with your game.
all right. Yeah. So last bit on this, Zero Zero Nation. So lost to the Bad News Eagles, who we've gone over, very
Yep.
good in the stage.
The best team in the world.
Yeah, beat the best team.
Undoubtedly.
Yep. Um, then they lost to Furia in the Brazilian duel, which, if you were watching on stream, was weird because the crowd didn't know who to cheer for.
Yeah, the crowd's been mad. Like, like, so I've been working on the B stream largely, and that's on in a studio backstage, and you could tell what's happening on the A stream by the sheer noise from the crowd through like three walls. You can tell when Furia have won a round. It's amazing, and then like you get a message from somebody who's like at Jack of TLDR is like, oh yeah, the stream doesn't really do the crowd justice. Like, it's coming across plenty loud enough on stream, so it
Yeah.
must be insane in there.
And then to complete their O3 North America cosplay, trying to get near airport quick, they lost to IHC,
Yeah,
which is like okay. So let's talk about this for a second. IHC, a team that you and I had said that they were going to be, spoiler,
Yeah,
being
they were
upset.
always going to beat somebody.
In American football terms, they've got that dog in them.
Yeah,
And they win and they beat the Brazilian team on home soil. I love it.
that is so funny. Like
In a best of 3, it wasn't just a best of
yeah,
1, right? Like
so
Greyhound beat Cloud9 in a best of 1, like who cares? But in a best of 3.
so I've got 2 points on thing. The first one is there is no way on earth IHE have ever played in front of a crowd anywhere near this big,
Nope.
and to beat a Brazilian team at the
In
Rio
Brazil.
Major in your first time in front of a crowd is cold as fuck. And my second point is if you could excuse Imperial because all of their games you're like, well, fair enough. There is no excuse for 0-0 Nation. I'm sorry, there's no excuse. This core, the God sent core before Cold Zero decided to photobomb it, was genuinely decent. They were like, I know, a top 20 team. They would have won a game here. Since Cold Zero's joined, okay, they qualified pretty easily. They lost a best of 3 to IHC with a home crowd.
Yeah.
Like, you can talk all you want about whether or not crowd advantage works. Maybe it doesn't. So even if you disregard that, you shouldn't be losing best of 3s to IHC. I like IHC. They look like a genuinely decent team.
They're fun to watch.
You have Dumao, you have Lato, you have Tri. You've got fucking 2 major winners on this team. How are you like
two-time major winners, not just
and
it's not fucking it's not fucking Russian automatic major winners. It's like a team that was considered the best team in the world for a year major winners.
If you had Russian automatic instead of Cold Zero and Taco, does the team win a game?
Yes.
Yeah, they do. They actually do.
They absolutely do.
They actually do, yeah. I don't know who in-game leads for that team, but we'll figure that out later.
Honestly, they could put Tarek on this team after only playing Valorant for 2 years and still have won a game.
I don't know. I've seen Nitro play since playing Valorant for a year, and it's not pretty.
I think Tarek's ceiling. Not the point.
Yeah, I don't know. There's no excuses for 0-0 Nation. They shouldn't be losing this game. Like they just shouldn't.
Ever.
I think they crumbled under pressure. I mean, they got absolutely battered by Bad News Eagles as well. That wasn't even close.
Yeah, I think I do have to say that we're talking about like the crowd and stuff. I think that is an undersung thing of just like, yeah, you have the crowd behind you, but also the amount of fucking pressure you have because the entire crowd is behind you is insane. Now, Taco and Coltera should easily be able to deal with that. I mean, they've literally won 2 majors in plenty bigger stages than this, but the other players. Yeah. But the problem, I don't think, was Taco and Coltera. The problem wasn't the other players. The problem was
Taco and Coltera.
Yeah.
I will say, I know during the Americas RMR, we spoke to a guy from we spoke to Art, I think it was from Furia, who like when they lost to EG, he just didn't want to talk to her. He's like, we need to qualify. And it's like, I'm aware that you lose a 16-14 best of 1 to Evil Geniuses, you don't go to Legend Stage. Like, I'm aware that happens. I don't know if the Brazilian fans are aware that that's like, it's a small mistake, but I don't think, and I think they even then they were feeling the pressure, and that was just to qualify. Like, you see the outpouring of emotion, or we'll get to Fury in a minute, when they qualified, like, and it's like, it's as much relief as it is anything else.
Yeah,
like,
really.
There is genuine pressure for these Brazilian teams. I think we all thought the home crowd would benefit the Brazilians. I think in some way it's actually made it harder. And you see teams like Bad News Eagles who go out like, yeah, we fucking love when the crowd are against us. I love that. I absolutely love Bad News Eagles just outright said, yeah, keep booing us.
Okay, so it's one of my favorite things. Personal quick story, just because it's a cool story. I played in college marching band. Okay. Yeah. Played tuba, giant tuba on my shoulder.
You got booed by Brazilians.
No. Have you ever heard of UConn?
I've heard of it, yeah.
Okay, so they have one of the most legendary women's basketball teams in the history of ever. Like 5 or 6 champions in a row without getting defeated a single time in season. Like 100 and something, like ridiculous amount of
87-0.
No, I think it may have been more. Like better than that NIP team in terms of like esports, right?
Yeah.
We traveled to UConn to our women's basketball team to play against theirs in like the round of 32 in March Madness a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And we almost won, and I'm sitting there as part of the band as like one of the 20 people actually cheering for my college's team, and we're getting booed out of the arena as we're standing there, and we're just screaming, and everyone else is booing us out. Great time, love to see it. So
When
I understand the vibe that like Bad News Eagles and stuff is like, yes, make me the enemy, that's fine, fuel everything, right?
during the RMR, I watched. It was about 11 rounds of the Complexity Imperial, I think it was the Complexity Imperial game with Messioso, who's
Yeah, the
who
GM of
works at
Simplicity.
Complexity. Yeah,
Yeah.
um, and everyone else in like the lounge, the player lounge, was Brazilian, cheering for Imperial. Complexity won around, he like thumped the table, was like, yes, and everyone just like stared at him, and I was like, no, I'm not with him. No.
I have no relation.
I want Imperial to win, which I did. To be fair, I was like I was silently like fist bumping, and, like fucking pumping my fist when like Imperial won. I didn't want to say anything to him, but you know.
All right, let's talk about the 2-3-0 teams. We already talked about Bad News Eagles enough.
Yeah,
They came in,
best team
absolutely
in the
slapped the
world.
shit out of everyone, and will probably go 2-3 in the next stage,
No,
just because
they're going through.
you're
I don't
going
like.
through. Okay.
I'm putting them through. I might put them 3-0 on my Pick-ems. They're going through.
Okay, so either way,
I've seen
Bad
enough.
News Eagles we've talked plenty about. Let's talk about the other team here, which is Mouse Sports. Which, if you looked at these teams, no, I don't think anyone put Mouse Sports 3-0 except for Naps, and I don't even think he did.
I don't even think he did. No, like Mouse, I'm pretty sure I said to him then, like, they're just a perennial 3-2 or 2-3 team. They
Yep.
never go 3-0.
And
they
then they
went
went
3-0.
3-0.
And, I mean, Exertion, look, he might have been the best player at this stage of the event. People will say Shiro, and yeah, fine. But I think Shiro's numbers are inflated a little bit. Exertion's a freak, bro. That guy is destroying teams. I don't know. Like every time people thought, oh, I saw him in the Academy League, like, yeah, but the way his style is, like, it might not translate to a higher level. And he stepped up a higher level, and if anything, he's got better.
better. Yeah.
And it's like, oh yeah, but maybe against like the real top teams, he won't be able to keep doing it. And I think like it's really hard to bet against him now because I didn't think he'd translate this quickly his Academy League form to like the Challenger stage. So why can't he just do it in the Legend stage? I don't know because he's just really fucking good.
And the other bit about this is it's not like they beat up on shit teams. Like it's
no,
not,
they dicked Fnatic.
Yeah, they first of all they dicked Fnatic 2-1, right? They played against EG, which I'll say that's a freebie. But they beat Outsiders 16-6.
Sorry, yeah, it was Outsiders they dicked, wasn't it? Yeah, not Fnatic. Yeah, like
I mean they beat him 2-1, which like
yeah.
But
yeah,
16-6 is stupid. Like Outsiders is a team that says all of your shit you know about Counter-Strike, fuck that, we're playing our own game, and they beat them at their own game, right? Like that's
that's the thing, right? Outsiders. When we talked about this last week, I talked about how Outsiders will punish you if you make mistake. Like if you overstep, they will just punish you, and that's why they're good against teams who aren't that good. But Exertion's aim is so good that if he makes a mistake, it just doesn't matter. He just kills you anyway. It's like Fur used to do. Like he would overstep all the time. He'd overpeak 3 times in a round, but he'd only get punished once, and he'd kill 2 people in the 2 other times. And it's kind of like, yeah, like their style is really good against teams who make mistakes and don't quite have the mechanics. But if you have the mechanics and you actually do just take duels like Kika and win them, it's a lot easier. Like Exertion's just that good. Like I think he completely changes this Mouse team from a like 20th place, often lose to underdogs, can beat anyone, to this team's legit. Like this team can top 8 like easily.
I'm gonna say something that I don't know if I would have said a little bit ago, and it's maybe me doing the general thing of overreaction because it's the major and I'm legally required to overreact to every single bit of content. Dexter wasn't the problem.
But like Suhi might still have been the solution.
Suhi might have still been a solution. He might have still been like really like a good fit, but
Suhi's fucking great.
Dexter may not have been the problem.
I'm still not convinced Dexter's that good, but I think having taught, I'm pretty sure.
I don't think he's quite. I don't think he's that good. I think the best part about Dexter is he's not 21 years old.
Yeah, but I'm not sure that's a benefit that much either. I'm pretty sure Exertion does a lot of secondary calling.
I'm sure he does.
That's what he did on the Mouse
Yeah.
and XT team, and I think that's really helped because Dexter strikes me as somebody who he's quite softly spoken. I don't see him as like a real leader, and I think having a second person who's actually like has a very strong idea of what he wants to do, especially in the mid round, or if he sees something, he's like, oh, I'm going to punish this guy. I think that really helps Dexter because he doesn't strike me as somebody who has a really strong idea of exactly what he wants to do every round, like somebody like a Carrigan might do.
Yeah. Uh, Time will tell if we're right on this, right? We'll talk about Sui in a couple minutes, because we'll talk about Gamer Legion. But time will tell if I'm right on this. But I have a hunch that Dexter may not have been the problem. All right, let's move on to the 1-3 teams. We'll talk about everyone's favorite 0-3 picks. So IHC we already touched on. They lost to everything other than absolutely smashing 0-0 Nation. I don't want to put much
I
more
don't know
time.
about smashing. I don't know about smashing them,
Okay,
but they did beat them.
I think beating any Brazilian team in a Brazilian major on Brazilian in Brazilian
Yeah,
stage.
that was a really close game though.
I'm going with smashing. Um, Greyhound got absolutely smashed by everyone, except for Cloud9. Who were they?
Greyhound looked good on Dust 2, but
Yeah,
I think they struggled on other maps. But at least they have a map they can challenge people
yeah.
on at top level. That's
So the
respectable.
point that I want to make about these two games is a point that I've been making for like a year now, and that I've seen people on the internet web starting to make, which is the Asian RMR should be 8 teams.
Yep. I
They
think
should.
all right, put it this way, for the perfect world major, I'm pretty sure they will change the
Yeah,
way the Asian, because it would be silly to have like a really shit Asia RMR for a major
yeah.
in a home region. Like I think they might even increase the spots for that major. That's what I'd do if I was Valve. But
Here's the thing: the Asian RMR teams are obviously not the best teams of this event, but it is a disgrace that there's only 2 of them.
I'd
And
like
it's
to see
not.
Rare Atom, but that's
I
just because I like Rare Atom.
give me 3 spots. Give me maybe you don't give me 4, maybe give me 3 and take one of Europe's spots away. I mean, like, who gives a shit about?
Or realistically,
Come
one
on.
of the American spots away, given 2 of the teams went 0-3.
I continue to stand on the point that they should separate the North American and South American spots. If you want more information about that, I've talked about it in length in a previous episode.
I'm pretty sure that would only look bad on North America, but
Yeah, I don't care though. Speaking of looking bad on North America, Evil Geniuses.
Yeah, I mean, I came in a little bit higher on them than I came out, but given how dog shit they've been for the last year, I'm not that disappointed. I mean, the most disappointing thing about EG is that apparently they've extended Breezy and Cirque's contracts, which is just obviously the wrong thing to do.
Yeah,
and they did it. Well, supposedly they. I don't. It hasn't been announced. They haven't announced anything, but that's the rumor, and it's like, well,
I
you
don't
watch
understand.
Cirque, you watch Breezy. Not only are they not good, they're nowhere near the amount. Like they're nowhere near as good as the amount of money you'd probably have to pay them.
Even taking money out of the equation, right? These
Yeah,
guys
which
have
is
been
difficult.
these guys have
But
been
yes,
on this roster, right, for like 4 years or some shit, right? Whether it's between EG and NRG, right? If you just look at a graph, it's steady decline once we hit
yep.
2020, right? Once EG was like the best team in the world for like 5 minutes during 2020 when everything was online and we were confused on how to rate America versus Europe. After that point, it's just been downward and there hasn't been
Mm-hmm.
anything that's changed it. And the roster's gone through like a million different changes, right? Like we had that same energy roster with Tarek, then we had the Stewie roster, and there was a roster in between that somewhere, and then we have the current roster. There's been at least 3 rosters, and none of them have looked good, and they haven't looked good in any of them. So
And I feel like Nilan is actually pretty solid from
I was
what
gonna
I've
say
seen.
that's been a really good bright spot. I think Nealon has been actually a really good bright spot. I think Hext has been a good bright spot. I don't think he's been the best player, but I don't
No,
think that he's been. I've talked about value over replacement before, the Vorp value. He has
yeah.
exceeded the Vorp. He has given more value over whoever he replaced, which in this case was who was it, Rush?
Yeah, I think so.
But
Hext is fine. He's the floor player on this team. You're not expecting him to be great,
but
and he's doing okay.
I mean he's
But
getting he's playing
your
the
quote
he's
unquote star players haven't been star players for
yeah.
over a year now.
he's playing the same roles that Masuda played on Vitality, if I remember correctly. I may be wrong on this.
Right.
He's kind of playing the shit roles, so it's like, what do you expect him to do? He's gonna play kind of like shit, and like that's like, he's
Yeah,
not
and
playing like total
I
shit,
never,
and none respect.
watch Hexed and think, oh, this guy's not good enough.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
rarely watch him and think, oh, he's actually good. But I never. It's kind of like Drop, where you never watch him and think, oh, he's a problem. But you also never watch him and think. Actually, sometimes you watch Drop, you're like, is this guy actually good? And then he just
To be
doesn't do
fair,
anything for 6 rounds, so you change your mind.
I
But
generally forget
Hex
that
is fun.
I generally forget that Drop is actually on Furia.
Yeah,
So
because he's never at fault for a loss or the reason they win.
yeah.
He is just along for the ride. It's kind of fun, really.
So here's the thing with EG. Just fucking rebuild this team. I don't know why they've hung on to Cirque and Breeze for this long.
I don't know
Like,
who you replace them with is the problem.
I don't
But
have a good answer to that, but I'm sure that EG internally does, right? Because they found Nealon, who is obviously looked good,
yeah,
right? Like
they want
Nealon
to
is a good
stay.
player. Like,
They want to stay American, and they have a Danish coach, Kazakh IGL. They kind of have to have 4 American players, and the problem. Well, I
I
guess
mean,
if you replace Cirque, you can get another European.
they should be replacing Cirque anyway. Let's
Well,
be
yeah,
very clear here. They should be replacing Cirque, but there's enough tier 2
Junior.
North American that they can start raising a team from that, even if they don't take from their already 2 rostered tier 2 North American teams, right? Like, even if they bring in talent, like,
Hear me out, George Snorts.
honestly, at this point, I'm not convinced that if you took the entire X Gaming Gladiators roster and just put it instead, that team wouldn't have won more maps.
Well, yeah, but they've already been bought, so it's too late for that.
But you see what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. They did batter Nouns in the RMR though, so.
But give Nouns like half an amount of like coaching staff and money behind them and the ability to play the game, and I'll have to like give them any amounts of help, and are we sure that they won't be better than this team? Like,
Yeah, it's so weird to me that EG bought 2 other rosters and then they're like, "Oh yeah, let's keep Cirque and Breezy." Like, how much money are they spending? Like, it's nice for the NA region that all of their teams get salaried via Evil Geniuses. Like every team in the region, EG would just give a salary to. That's great.
yeah.
But I don't understand how EG ever get any return for this.
Well, no, EG's helping prop up the North American scene because they're salarying 2 rosters who then go and lose cash cups to give everyone else money. So
Genius.
they're getting salaried. Yeah, genius. Let's talk about the 3-1 teams. We've talked about EG for too long. I want a statistic. I know I'm not going to get it, but just how long have I talked about EG in the 2 years we've done this podcast? I think it's an exorbitant amount. Your O3 pick big.
Yeah. I just want Big to lose.
To be fair,
I don't like seeing teams with stand-ins like go deep in majors. I don't like seeing dead teams go deep at majors.
Is this team both of them? Is this team one of them?
Yeah,
which
we
one?
don't know because even doctors don't know when Favon's going to be back. Apparently, apparently his stomach issue is undiagnosable. So we don't know when Favon's going to be back. So we don't know if it's a stand-in, if it's a dead, or we just don't know. And it's so frustrating that they're still able to win games because they are genuinely good players, but it's just. So I don't want to watch them go far. I don't like Big at the best of times. I definitely don't like Big when they don't have their full roster. Like, go away.
Yeah, that's about right. The only Brazilian team to make it through, Furia. They played well.
Yeah,
I have no issues with Furia.
Yeah, Furia did what was expected of them.
They lost to Big, but like someone had to.
Yeah, unfortunately, somebody had to ruin my pick-ems. Yeah, no, like Furia did what they were expected to. They'll be in the legend stage. If they make it to a quarterfinal, there may be no roof left in that arena by the end of it.
Yeah. I don't know what the coaching rules are, but if I remember correctly, Gary is not allowed to coach Furia.
Yeah, I don't think he's listed as their coach.
So I think what they should do is Furia should pay Fallen $1 to stand behind them as the coach for the rest
Just looks stoic.
Yeah, just literally be Fallen
Yeah,
because obviously everyone in Brazil still loves him, and he's out of the major. So why the fuck not?
because I don't think you're allowed to have somebody who's already played at the major sub in as your coach. That's why.
Why not?
He's got a show match to prepare for. That might
That's a
be his
good point.
last
He does
game.
well. So do the players on Fury, don't they?
Wow. No, isn't it the old
Oh no,
SK
no,
roster?
it is the old good. You know what? That's why both teams went 0-3. They knew they needed to prepare for the show match.
Do you know what they should have done? The opposite team should have been like enemies of Brazil, and it should be like Ryan and 4 others versus the old SK roster, so that SK can win
Genius.
like 16-0. Brazil can
Genius.
finally get a victory. Like just put a German on there, put an Argentinian on there, Ryan, Thorin, somebody else.
I think that team wouldn't play a single round. Just Ryan and Thorin at the beginning.
Yeah, like they would be infighting, and then Brazil would win, and it would be really good, and it'd be a great moment.
Outsiders. They did normal outsider shit. They just beat up on teams that are worse than them, and I truly do mean that, because they beat Vitality, and Vitality have not looked very good.
They battered Fnatic 16-1.
Yeah, they did that thing where it is outsiders will beat every team below them and lose to every team above them, and that is it.
I love outsiders so much, but I fucking hate outsiders. Like, I just hate like the way they play is just so ratty. It's unbelievable. They're so perverted. They're like there was a 4v1, I think it was against Vitality, where they planted the bomb with 3 seconds to go.
Yeah,
they were in a 4v1 for 40 seconds. Just plant the bomb and win the round, for fuck's sake. What are we waiting for? Just hurry up and win. Like, just stop being so fucking perverted and plant the pissing bomb. I love him, but I hate him so much.
I think that's all we need to say about him. Let's.
I mean, that's so frustrating to play against. Like, I cannot imagine how difficult it was to play against him. The changes of pace they throw in, like once a half, are. So there's a concept in cricket. I'm going to talk about cricket for a second.
Talking about everything. We're talking about college marching band and cricket today.
So like a bowler will bowl like 9 fastballs in a row, and then he'll throw in a slower ball, or he'll bowl like 16 outswingers in a row, and then he'll throw in an in-swinger. And the idea being, you get so used to dealing with outswinger, when it nips back in, you're caught off guard. Outsiders do that where they will do like 14 of the slowest, most stinkiest rounds you've ever seen. And then once a half, they will just contact out monster while you're saving your utility. And there's nothing you can do about it, because you don't beat Flit and Fame straight up. If they decide to contact with you and you're like just not ready for it, you're not going to kill Flit or Fame. They're so good. And then they just win the round off that and just completely reset your economy. And it's like, it's so frustrating to play against. Like, they're impossible to read, because you know that they're slow most of the time, but they can just throw in these fast rounds. And you have to be aware, you have to be ready for it, because mechanically they can outplay anyone. So you have to be ready for these fast players. You have to be ready for this to happen, even though you know it's not going to. They're so frustrating to play against.
Yeah, I have nothing more to say on that. Like, outsiders are just. We used to talk about big in the way of like, big is the team you need to beat to be good, right?
Yeah.
If you're losing to big, you're generally not considered a good team. If you're beating big, you're generally considered a good team, right? I think that's moved on to outsiders, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I think outsiders is the gateway to being a great team. I think if you can play and win against outsiders, you can be a great team. I think that's what it comes down to. Just because they play so different than everyone else, and right, you could play well against like all the teams that are throwing like huge amounts of tempo changes and hard executes and default.
Yeah,
and play against all that shit, and you can do well and you can do poor, whatever. But if you can play against outsiders and the weird shit that they do, and you're able to adapt to it, then you're considered a good enough team to be able to do something.
There's such a like organization check. Like playing against like, I don't know.
It's not just players. It's not just aim. Yeah. It's like your analysts. Are your analysts doing the work ahead of time to know what they're doing? Does your coach understand what the fuck James is thinking? No, but like, can he fake it enough?
Yeah, when you play against like a Fnatic or something, it's more of a skill check. Like, can you hang with them? Like, can you outshoot Nikodas? Can you outshoot Mezzi? Can you outshoot Crims? When you play against outsiders, it's an organization check. Like, are your setups sound? Do you use your utility properly? Like, are you patient? Do you push when you shouldn't? Like, there's such an organization check. Like, and most teams are
Fail
not
it.
structured enough to deal with it.
Yeah.
And I really think they can go deep in this event because there's a lot. Like even like Navi aren't amazingly structured. They're decently
No.
structured,
Yeah.
absolutely, but they're like they do make errors. Like Bit does make positioning errors. Like
Mhm.
Perfecto doesn't really, but like Electronic, sometimes his positioning's a little strange because he gets away with it because he's so aggro, he's so good. Like I really think like outsiders can top 8. I really think they can get through the legend stage and make quarterfinals, and then from there you never know.
I think they probably can too. All right, I wanna move on to the 2-2 games. We'll start with the first one that's happening right now as we speak. Still not over yet, which is OG and Vitality. I want to start with Vitality. They've not looked particularly good.
Nope. Dupree's getting older, Magiska's getting older, Apex is old, Spinks in front of crowds isn't that good. Zywoo in front of Zywoo in a major, he just had some dodgy performances in majors. They're clearly good, but they don't. I don't know. They seem to just struggle under pressure, which is weird for a team like this.
For a team that's so battle hardened with pressure.
Yeah.
Like
the
how many
first
majors
map against OG?
How many majors do they have combined? They got to have like 6. I think they have like 10 majors on that team combined.
If you include the major, if you include the coach, it's like 14, right?
I mean, Strauss has won 3, 4, 4. So that's 12 just from the Strauss.
Magisk only won 3.
Okay, but Apex won 1.
Does Apex won 1 or 2? I can't remember.
I think Apex just won 1. So that brings us to 12 if you include coach.
Yeah.
Like, this team's got enough experience on big stages to hope that doesn't affect them, but it just looked like they beat Greyhound, they beat Imperial, but like no one has ever said that beating Greyhound and Imperial is a good showing.
Like, no, and the first map of this, they're currently in map 2. They won map 1, but they were very fortunate to do so. Like the amount of like 3v5s they were just like losing through over forcing, like over pushing, and then leaving Zywoo in a 1v1, and then him like losing 1v1s to like I think it was Fiku and Degster, and like he just would normally win it. Zywoo also just got knifed by Neofrag as I was talking.
I love it.
OG, you're winning map 2. They're 12-5 up. Like this is going to a map 3, and yeah. OG Vitality might actually just go out on the challenge stage.
I think OG is a really, really interesting team because I think the expectations for them are kind of non-existent.
Yeah, I've no idea what to expect.
I think OG is in the kind of same ballpark as like Fnatic, Gamer Legion. I know I'm rattling off the other 2-2 teams, but like they're just in the kind of like I kind of expect them to make the next stage, but like if they didn't, it wouldn't super surprise me. And I think OG is right exactly there.
Yeah, OG are like perennial 2-2. Like if you didn't ask me how they got, like how they're going to do, it was either 3-2 or 2-3.
Yep,
it's just like probably like lost a mouse in a 2-2 game because it's like I have genuinely no idea if they're any good. Sometimes they look brilliant. They've got pieces that are fantastic. Like Dexter is just a monster. Like Dexter at majors always does well. But
this team just needs time. Like,
yeah, but how much time are we
we've
willing
given
to
them
give
3
them?
months?
I know, but like, I don't know. I don't know what to expect from the seat. Like, I've just no idea if I've no idea, like, who in this team is genuinely good. I've no idea if the in-game leader is any good. The only thing I know for certain about OG is that their AWPer is really good. That's the only thing I know. I don't know anything else.
Also, that technology hates them. Let's talk about this for a second.
Yeah.
Because we're going to have to talk about this with Fnatic too. This major, everyone complained about the PGL sound guy.
Yeah, I never complained about the sound because like I've worked a little bit in production, not enough to know on, but shit goes wrong all the fucking time.
Oh yeah, I've done like
and you can't really prepare for it.
I've done tier 2 production or NA tier 3, which is basically EU tier 7. Um, and like I've fucked up stuff all the time. Like I
Yeah,
don't normally blame people, but there's a difference between production fuck ups and technology fuck ups.
yeah, and I think that's even harder to prepare for. Like
I actually think it's easier to prepare for.
computers just crashing. Like it's like
What is it?
if they weren't crashing when you practiced and then they just crashed during a game, what are you supposed to do?
fucking INS's stickers making people crash? Like,
Yeah, but
did you see?
that's a Valve thing,
I
right?
know,
That's
but
gotta
like
be.
that is a Valve thing. But Fnatic like dropping what was it? It was like a 2v3 or some shit yesterday. Fnatic
It
against
was a
Outsiders
3v3 and they all
3v3,
crashed.
and
Yeah.
they literally all crashed.
Yeah, they replayed the round.
I know, but like that doesn't happen. Like what the fuck? I don't have a good answer for it right now, but I'd love to see. I want to be a fly in the wall of the like the production staff, the like the
They're
technological
like
staff
Toms.
post
Yeah.
mortem.
Yeah. They're like I don't know. Like sometimes it's like, yeah, it sucks, but
I mean, I've worked in IT now
it's
for
really hard to blame anyone for it because sometimes computers just fucking crash. Like
yeah, I've worked in IT now for 4 years, like including while I was like literally IT in college, and like yeah, I understand computers fucking crash once in a while.
computers
Like,
sometimes just crash. Like there's
yeah,
not always anything you can do, especially if it's like somebody's stickers causing the crash, which is like a problem in the game. Like, that's a glitch with the game. That's not.
okay, it's
I
also
don't
the
know.
funniest shit, but
It's kind of funny,
it's
but like,
hilarious.
I don't
Um,
know.
Fnatic on their own. I'm gonna refer you to my OG comments on Fnatic.
Fnatic have loads of skill, but Mezzi is still learning how to in-game lead,
I
and
I'll give the TLDR. Oh, Fnatic, we need to give them a little bit more time. A, B, Mez needs to learn how to IGL, which is different than the OG diagnosis. And
yeah,
C, this was a team that coming into this major, I would have gone, oh, cool, they made it out of groups, or oh, cool, they didn't make out. And they were a 2-2 team from the start, and guess what? They're in a 2-2 match.
their T
This
sides are
is
bad. Their
this
T
is
sides are really bad.
this is expected right now. But unlike OG, where I don't have huge expectations for them in the next couple of months, I actually have pretty high expectations for Fnatic once we come back from player break.
They need to solve their T sides. Their T sides just suck, and I think some of that is because they are just 5 individuals who are all, they're all genuinely good players. None of them are support players. It were like Mezzi, obviously on Cloud9 was, but I think he's proven that he's actually one of the better players on this team. And like, okay, Roy is a star player. That's fine. Nikodos was a star player. Are you going to tell Crims to be a support player? It's kind of hard when you're new to in-game leading. You go, yeah, Crims. I know you've won a couple of majors and that, but can you throw some flashes for Roy? It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to make that call.
I think the team just needs to gel a little bit more. I mean, this team is also new. I mean, what is it? August?
They have flashes of like
you can see that there's
a really good team, but
there is a really high ceiling on this team. I truly believe that. I just think that they're close to the floor right now, and they need to work at it to get the floor higher.
They're a high variance team. Their CT side should be really good, and for the most part, they are pretty solid. It's their T sides I really worry about because they have an IGL who's never IGL before, and like no obvious.
These things take time.
The roles seem a bit strange to me.
Let's talk about 9Z, the other South American team that didn't disappoint.
Sometimes they look really good. Other times they look like a team of people who you've barely heard of.
Yeah, I mean they lost to Big, so
yeah, they got smashed by Big on map 1. Like they were comfortably beaten by Big, but then other times they look like a genuinely decent team. NQZ is very young. I think he's struggling a little bit with the pressure, but
I mean, he is. So for if you don't know 9Z very much, it's a South American mix, but there is one Brazilian, and it is NQZ, and he's like the youngest player on the team. It's his first time in front of a stage, and he's in Brazil, and like that all that shit that we said before about 00 Nation with like Brazil is like behind you, but also it's fucking pressure on you because you're in
Yeah.
Brazil. It's like this guy's first time from a stage. At least for the 0-0 Nation guys, right? They've competed at other events that have had stages.
I think as well so NQZ's quite a passive AWPer. When you're somebody like a Dexter, where you're a swashbuckler, like you just want to fight people.
Yep.
It's a lot easier when like the crowd's behind you. You use that energy, like I'm gonna fucking peek something. I'm gonna fly down connector and I'm gonna quick scope somebody,
When
and the
you're
crowd's
passive,
gonna go fucking mad.
you have to anti that. You have to
Yeah, you
like
have
go.
to. Yeah, you have to be
like
like,
zone out of it and go. I need to calm.
yeah,
I need to calm down. I'm still playing passive. I'm still playing normal, right? And you need to kind of reject the crowd energy. And
yeah,
when you're in Brazil and you are the Brazil, it's kind of hard to
yeah.
do that.
Like the way he is their best player, but he plays in a way where he's, he takes a back seat a lot. He isn't taking initiative, and I think when the crowd is behind you that way, it's almost easier to take initiative and be like, I'm gonna be the hero. I'm gonna the crowd's gonna go mad when I fly like down here and I quick scope somebody. They're gonna go mad. When you're a passive AWPer like that, you're less flashy, and you almost have to like calm the crowd down so that you can build them up later. It's kind of strange in that style.
Yeah. I have no clue who's going to win the 9Z Fnatic game. Actually, let me.
I think
I have no
Fnatic
clue who's
will
going to
win.
win any of these 2-2 games.
I think Fnatic will win.
I think Fnatic, on paper, Fnatic should win, but 9Z has been all over the place this tournament, and I can see them not winning.
I have concerns over Fnatic, but 9Z got battered by Big. Like I just think that it's too much for them. It's a step too far.
I want to talk about these last two teams totally, actually, in the same margin, but in a totally different way. Both Gamer Legion and Cloud9 went on either a really good or really bad start. Cloud9 went 0-2, Gamer Legion went 2-0.
Yeah.
And then once they hit the best of threes, everything flipped. Cloud9 has won every best of three up to this point. Gamer Legion has lost every best of three up to this point.
I need Gamer Legion to win that for my pick'ems.
I had to look up on Twitter what my pick'ems were earlier today because I literally didn't remember what they were.
I checked yesterday.
Eligible at this point.
I think I said on the podcast, oh yeah, I think Cloud9 might choke, and clearly I took that to heart because I didn't have them in my pick'ems.
You want to hear an amazing thing? I have 4 teams that are in the 2-2 bit in my moving on pick'ems.
Nice. I've got 3. I've got Vitality, I've got Fnatic, and I've got Gamer Legion.
I have Vitality, Fnatic, OG, Cloud9.
So I need all 3 results to go my way, including Vitality winning map 3, because it's now just gone to map 3. OG cleaned them out 16-6. So I need Vitality to win map 3. I need Gamer Legion to beat Cloud9 in a best of 3. And I need Fnatic to beat 9Z.
Yeah,
so it's not looking good.
Here's the thing, right? Gamer Legion was another one of the teams that I expected to go 2-2. But not in a bad way. This team literally got together like 3 days before the RMRs and said, fuck it, we're going to play in a mixed team that Gamer Legion isn't even going to officially recognize us until we make the fucking major, right? Mm-hmm. Like, this was stupid, and they made it, and I'm proud of them, and I'm happy, but like, they're on a little Cinderella run that's gone on since the RMR, and it's got to come to an end at one point.
Suhi's just a monster. Like, I don't know where Mouse found him. That guy is ridiculous. Like, he's like Nafany with hands. Like, he's really aggro. He's really like he will take initiative. He will duel people. He will fight. He will call around himself entering, and he will actually fucking enter. Like, when Glaive was really good, this is what he did. Like, he would like actually take aggro duels and win them. And when your IGL does that, it makes the game so much fucking easier. Like, obviously, Acor looked really good in the RMR. Not looked quite as hot so far at the major. I think guy who's always not dealt quite so well with pressure.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. But Suhi, look, I don't know. You can say all you want about Dexter and how he's like improved and, whatever. You can't convince me Suhi should have been on an academy team for this long. He looks like a ready-made tier 1 in-game leader. Maybe the depth of his calling might be an issue later on. Maybe like he doesn't have as deep a strat book as somebody like a Carrigan. Like that's going to take some time to refine.
Mm-hmm.
But on a mechanical level, if he is still like the main caller for this team, he reminds me of somebody like Nexa, where like he's not going to frag out every game, but Nexa has that game in him where he will just drop like 30 and you'll win from like while in game leading, and it's like he can actually be an aggro part of the team. He like covers so many roles for a team, and he does it all really well. Like he is the gem of this team. Like no matter what anyone says, like the kid's like 18, and I think he's even younger than that, and he's like I think he's the highest rated player. He's taking opening duels consistently and winning them, and he's calling at the same time. Like he's doing everything for this team. It's mad. Like they're actually decent, and I don't think they'll beat Cloud9. Cloud9 seem to have actually hit their stride now, but like Suhi versus Nafani, I think Suhi's better. I think he's a better player.
I think that's probably true. I think it's just supporting cast. Is going to be the battle here.
So who chokes more, Shiro or Acor? So I mean, Shiro's been lights out this event, to be fair.
So I want to talk about Cloud9 because Cloud9 did the opposite of Gamer Legion, right? Gamer Legion absolutely crushed the best of ones. Cloud9 faltered completely, and then have gone and beat two what I would consider bad teams. Imperial and EG. I'd consider both of them bad teams right now.
Yeah, they battered EG.
So here's the thing. I don't know how to feel about Cloud9 because I can't accurately place them. They have not played a good team this entire event other than Fnatic. And do we really consider Fnatic a good team? And I don't mean that in like a dickish way or anything. Fnatic is literally in the same spot. We just talked about how high variance this team is, right? They've played against Fnatic, they've played against Greyhound, they played against Imperial, they played against EG. They have not played against a single other team that has made playoffs.
Yep.
So I don't know how to judge them right now. Here's the thing. It doesn't matter what I say because Shiro is so fucking good right now. It doesn't matter. Right?
Yeah, he's in his bag. He's cooking teams.
Yeah. Cloud9 should win this match like every day of the week. And it sucks for Gamer Legion because like you are on the Cinderella run. You made it to the major. You got this right. But there's something to be said for a player in which in the last couple of years, in like the last year, we had serious discussions of if he was a top 5 player looking like that again. You're not going to be able to beat that.
Yes, but Cloud9 are consistently giving away opening kills. Like they're winning so many like 3 and 4v5s. They're winning so many man down situations because Shiro is playing like so impossibly well. Is it more likely that they suddenly start getting opening kills, or that Shiro stops playing like peak simple? Which is more likely? Because look, Gamer Legion are going to have openings to win this game. Like Cloud9 are giving away 4v5s for fun. They're winning a lot of them, but Suhi has been one of the best like opening duel players in the event. Acor, we know, can win opening. Like he will take AWP duels and he'll win them. Mm-hmm. Like he will get opening picks for you. This team can be quite explosive at the start round, and Cloud9 start slow, and they win in late round situations. And we know Gamer Legion struggle to close out games because the pressure does get to them. And Cloud9 are very good at bringing it back. But I do think that Gamer Legion will have opportunities to close this game. I think Gamer Legion will get to 13, 14 rounds in some of these games. And I do think they'll have a chance to close out, like, if they keep getting 5v4s, which I think is a possibility. Nafani has not looked good at this event at all. Inter's is very hit and miss. Hobbit hasn't been insane either. Like, they can pick these players off, and they can make Shiro's life hell. And it's not out of the realms of possibility that Gamer Legion can just explode and just get these opening kills and win these games if they can actually manage to close out games for once. I don't think it's... I think it's like 65-35 Cloud9, but I don't think it's like a complete.
I don't think it's a given. I think
No,
it probably goes to 3 maps. Actually, I'm fairly certain it goes 3 maps. I don't
I
think
think
it'll
it'll
be
be at 2-0, but it'll be like a 16-14 and an overtime. But I think it'll be a close 2-0.
All right. Okay, so I want to give a little bit of a preview here for the next stage, because it's Thursday, so you'll be able to listen to this on our off day on Friday, so that way we can you can prepare for the next stage. So next stage will be the Legend stage. I
Yeah,
don't know what the hell they named these things.
yeah.
Legend
It's
stage,
challengers, then legends, and then champion stage.
yeah, which will start on the 5th, which is Saturday. So we'll have Saturday, and then we'll have Monday. The dates in which they're doing this are like a little weird. Because
Yeah,
we skip a day. I assume it's
yeah.
because of stadium availability. I'm not super worried about it.
I think they usually take a break in between the stages. It's
Yeah,
usually how they do it.
but so they're taking the break on the 4th, and then they're also taking a break on the 6th on Sunday.
I don't think that's true.
I'm looking at HLTV right now.
I'm pretty sure I'm supposed to be working Sunday, so I don't think so. I've got it in my calendar that I'm working Sunday.
Interesting.
Yeah. On HLTV, the Legend Stage Swiss Round 3 begins on Sunday.
What?
Yeah. They don't take Sunday off. They go until Tuesday, and then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday the 13th.
I don't see Sunday.
Well, it's on there.
Okay.
They are playing Sunday.
Okay. Sure. Um, neither here nor there. So, the teams that are here are the ones you expect to win the major. For a variety of reasons. It's just there's not many teams that are in the group stage that I truly expect will come out and win this major, unless it's Vitality, who manages to get through and suddenly has an entire remembrance of how to play this game. I don't expect them to, but I figured I'd toss them in. So
the only team from the Challenger stage who has a chance of winning the major is Bad News Eagles, because they're the best team in the world. Every time we doubt them, they level up, they get better. Oh, Bad News Eagles aren't going to win the major. That's ridiculous. Bad News Eagles are winning the major. I've had enough.
all right, so teams in this are FaZe, Navi, NIP, and Sprout. Heroic, Team Spirit, Liquid, Mouse, Bad News Eagles, Big, Outsiders, Furia, and the 3 winners from today, which, if we're predicting correctly, would be Vitality, Fnatic, Cloud9, I think
Cloud9.
is what we decided on, but
Yeah.
results may
That
vary.
is very much subject to change.
Yeah, very subject to change. So I guess we'll start with our big thoughts. Who's gonna be your 0-3 teams? Not full live pick'ems, but I wanna know who you think is going to be the team that's out. I have
Jesus.
2 on my mind.
Dare I put Big 0-3 again? Vitality.
Okay, that wasn't one of mine, but I absolutely can see it. I think I can come up with 4 pretty easily. I'm gonna go with the 2 you haven't mentioned. So Vitality and Big were absolutely on my list. Heroic, I could see going 0-3, and I can see Sprout going 0-3.
I think Sprout will beat somebody. I think there's a reason Sprout are in the Legend stage. I don't think it's.
I agree.
I don't think it's coincidence. All right, put it there. Vitality. They're going to come in as a
Vitality
3-2 team.
Vitality
Right, yeah.
don't look
So
good.
they're going to come in as an 0-3 team. Sorry, 3-2 team.
Yeah.
So they're going to be quite a low seed. So one of their first game is going to be against like
FaZe or Navi.
or like NIP or like Ents, like somebody decent, like Heroic or Liquid. They're going to come in against somebody decent. They lose that best of 1, let's say, and then they're probably against like one of the best teams to lose.
Yeah, then they'll be against like
a
Mouse or
like a Sprout
Mouse
or a Mouse, and it's like
Outsiders.
there's a good chance they're just 0-2 before the best of 3 start, and then I don't know, like the way they're playing, I could see any of these teams beating them.
Yeah.
I think Sprout will beat somebody in a best of 1. I really do. I don't know who.
I have faith that Sprout could beat someone. I'm more on the, if you were doing your pick'ems today, I would not totally throw out the idea of Sprout going 0-3. I think that some of it's I think I could copy and paste the Gamer Legion conversation that we had to here. I
Mm,
just don't think they have that same Sui kind of player that will absolutely take over your game for you.
they have
Um,
Lounks, but yeah.
I think they're a little bit more well rounded, but I'm not sure that that helps them a huge amount here when every other team has that guy. At least every other team that we expect to do well has that guy.
There's also the fact that the 8 teams who haven't played yet haven't got used to the environment, and that might
Yeah, and
be a
Sprout's
negative,
a young
especially
team.
Sprout. They're very young.
Sprout's a super young team.
It might work in their favor as well. You never know. I if we're talking about teams who are going to go through, I think you have to put FaZe and Na'Vi through.
Yeah, I think
think you
there's
have to put
one.
Liquid through,
I was gonna
and
say, I
then
think there's one, two, three. I can count 6 or 7 teams quick without thinking too hard about it that'll go through.
oh,
Or
I
that
can't.
shouldn't.
I have 3 that I'm pretty certain on, and then the rest
I
is a
can
crapshoot.
I can say 4 that I'm like very certain on. Actually, I can say 3 I'm very certain on. 4 I'm a little iffy on, and 5 or 6 that I'm like
So,
probably. Sorry, so FaZe Navi Liquid. I think
FaZe, Na'Vi, Liquid
definite
are my
going
3,
through.
and
I
Bad
think
News Eagles are my 4th.
I was gonna say I think NIP and Bad News Eagles are on like the tier below them. Of just like,
We're so on the Bad News Eagles hype train. It's
well,
going to end so badly.
it's not that I don't expect them to go through. I do. It's just their certainty level is less than the 3 teams who can realistically win the major.
But how much do I trust NIP? I just don't trust NIP. I just can't trust NIP. Like, everything in me is screaming that they're good, that they're gonna get through easily. But I can't trust NIP.
Yeah.
It's like telling you, it's like if somebody says, "Oh, you know, Spurs are gonna make like the quarterfinals of the Champions League." Like, yeah, like you're right. They do have Harry Kane and Heung-min Son, but they're also fucking Spurs. They can't. They can't. It doesn't make sense.
Let's go soccer references. I understand.
Exactly.
But it's like after those 5 teams, let's say, right? That it's I have no fucking clue. Mouse can make a really good run. I believe they could. Spirit can make a really good run. I believe it. Outsiders can make a good run. I believe it. Fury can make a good run. I believe it. Like, Big won't make a good run. I very much believe that. Like,
FaZe, Na'Vi, Liquid, Bad News Eagles, Mouse, Outsiders,
Furia and Mouse,
NIP,
Spirit.
and I am putting NIP. Team Spirit. Final answer.
But it's hard. That's the thing. It's super hard.
I mean, that's missing out Heroic Ents. It's missing out like fucking Furia. It's
Like,
missing out Sprout.
I think there's like an easy top tier. I think that like if I was to rate, like put these teams in like no, there is a easy S and A tier that I can make.
Yeah.
Everything after that is an absolute clusterfuck, and I couldn't tell you what's going to happen.
Yeah, like you could tell me that Outsiders are the 5th best team in this group, and you could tell me Outsiders are like 14th, and I'd probably agree with either of them.
Yep.
That's not true. Outsiders are better than that. But you know, you could pick any team and put them in any place. I'd be like, yeah,
you could tell me Liquid's going to go 0-3, and I might believe you.
Yeah, you could tell me FaZe don't go through, and I'd be like, I can see it. It's not out of the realms of possibility.
Actually, I think that the only 2 that I wouldn't believe not going through is FaZe and Navi. I think they're just, even if their brains turn off, they're too good with just aim. But if you told me that the both of them go through in a 3-2 match, would I believe you? Yeah.
There's like a chance, like in best of ones, that FaZe end up as a 1-2. And let's not forget, they've lost a best of 3 to OG in the last couple of months. Like, they're not infallible. There's just like, you know, they could lose a best of 1 to like Mouse, and you'd be like, you know, that happens. They could lose a best of 1 to like fucking Furia. They could lose a best of 1 to Team Spirit. And like, if you lose 2 best of 1s, all of a sudden you're like backs against like. There's actually not a team in here that I am 100% like, yeah, they're going through. It's like
there's teams in which my confidence level is like 90-95%.
Yeah.
But like that's it. There's no 100%.
If like somebody told me Na'Vi don't go through, I'd be like, yeah, that would be typical Na'Vi for them not to get through here. I don't know, man. It's so difficult.
Yeah.
Fuck it, you know, NIP 3-0. Like, that's it. Final answer. NIP are going 3-0.
I'm
I've
telling you,
seen
man.
enough.
Liquid
Like,
is that
it's too
Liquid.
chaotic. There's too much chaos going on. NIP, like, whenever you don't know what's going on, you just go for NIP because eventually you'll be right.
Yeah, I fuck me. I don't know, man. Um,
I'm putting NIP 3-0 on my Pick-ems. Final answer.
Yeah, sure, go for it. This stage is exciting to me not because of the 3-0 teams, right?
It's so stacked. This
It's just
fucking event is
because
so stacked.
it's because right now in Counter-Strike in general, right? We have, I'd say, a consistent top 2 teams that we are certain about. I think that there is a 3
we're
to 5
completely certain.
yeah, well, yeah. There's a top 2 that are far and away best teams in the world. Best 2 fighting for best 2. I think there is a slightly further back third and fourth, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know about fourth. Liquid's our third, and Vitality was supposed to be the fourth, but fuck if I know anymore, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then after that point, it's just like any team, any given day.
And that is exactly why Bad News Eagles and NIP are going 3-0 in the Legend stage. Like, Bad News Eagles love chaos. This group is chaos. Bad News Eagles, like the calmest people in the eye of the storm. Bad News Eagles are going 3-0.
Didn't Juan Flatro come out and say some shit like, "We love the crowd"? Like,
yeah, he loves being booed. Fucking love it. Get him on the stage now. Like, I just want to see more Bad News. I want to see Bad News Eagles in a quarterfinal. They will go fucking mental.
Yo, TSM, sign this team.
TSM.
So Bad News Eagles came out. I think it was Juan Flatro, but they came out and they were like, "Yeah, we're still looking for an org. We're just like in the meantime doing our own shit."
Yeah.
And I just TSM, please.
Juan Flatro. Take the sticker money. Trust me. Just take the sticker money and run. You don't want anyone interfering with that. If you can keep qualifying for majors, you don't need an org.
That's a good point. I mean, you can live off that money for the rest of the year. Fuck it, why not?
Yeah, you literally can. Quite easily.
Especially in Kosovo. All right. I think that's it for the day. I think we're at a good stopping point. We'll be back again next week. On whatever day after stuff is. So probably the 9th, 10th, somewhere in there, if that's a date.
Yeah, sure.
9th, 10th seems to be just before. So 11, 12, 13 is finals.
I believe Thursday is when the playoffs start. So
yeah, so we'll do Wednesday. We'll do our normal Wednesday. And we'll make sure to get it out Wednesday so that we guys can listen to it before stuff starts on Thursday.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's the end of the episode. Please make sure to rate and review us. You can find us on Twitter at RetealDara, at Logan Ramhap, and at Aizyesque. I changed my Twitter back. I got annoyed saying Mechatronic.
Wait, really? You actually changed it back?
I actually changed it. Well, the other thing is YouTube went out and gave the YouTube handles thing to everyone. That was like,
right.
And I realized that everything else in my life is my name, so fuck it. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at those things that I just mentioned. We'll be back in next week and we'll be talking about Legend Stage where Team Liquid has won.